Hello and welcome to the RedShark Roundup for Friday, 26th of July, 2024. This is the show where we're going to be looking at the last 48 hours news that's been covered on RedSharkNews.com. I'm David Winter with RedShark News, and with me today, I've got the man who puts the editor into editorial insight, analysis, and news for everything relating to video production, filmmaking, the latest video technology news and updates. It's RedShark editor Andy Stout. How are you today, Andy?
All good here, David. It's not raining, and as I live in Northern Ireland, this is a bonus.
That is a bonus, and also this is your first kind of proper on-screen appearance for the new and improved RedShark media output. How are you feeling about that?
It is actually. I've been trying to persuade people that all I am is a rather advanced AI for about the past decade, and I'm having increasing trouble getting away with it. So I'm having to actually appear in person. At least some things.
To be honest, actually, I mean, this is a good time to appear because you could still feasibly be AI, you know, with everything going on. I don't know if this blows your cover, to be honest. So, yeah, and it's going to be good.
You'd like to think that with 5-10 billion of investment or something, they'd come up with something a little bit better than this. But that's the John Oliver school of thought.
I would say they've nailed it, to be honest. But no, to have you here, it's going to go well. I mean, I just said appearance while setting up this whole bit. So that's already, we've got the first fluff out of the way. So, but the Olympics starting today. I know you're a big sports fan. You've been eating well this summer so far with the Tour de France and Wimbledon. How are you feeling about the Olympic Games?
It's going to be fascinating. I mean, it's already started. We've already had 2 days of rugby sevens and a few other events that they try and get out of the way because there's so much that they need to do. I've actually got the Test cricket on the monitor just over that eye line there. So if anything interesting happens and I squeal, I do apologise in advance.
Can we get a preview of your manly squeal?
Oh, I say.
There we go. Very good as well. Yes, very very British of you.
Well, thank you. I'm quite.
Let's have a look then. Let's dive into the stories. Now, I've got our first one. I'm hoping you can help me out here, Andy, because I'm going to be stuck on this immediately. Courtesy of Simon Wyndham, we've got a piece about how a groundbreaking new quantum computing chip that can be produced at scale is potentially going to change everything, right? Now, my sum total knowledge and experience of anything quantum is just when it's egregiously used in the Marvel films to just explain any form of outlandish science.
Have either of you guys ever studied quantum physics?
So Oxford Ionix has developed a high-performing quantum computing chip that can be produced at scale. The chip can control up to 10 qubits and achieve 2 qubit gates with a 99.97% fidelity and a single qubit operations with a 99.9992% fidelity using trapped ions. Now, that means very, very little to me, although it does sound impressive. Can you give us any insight, Andy, or are we just going to have to throw him over to the article with Simon?
Well, obviously the article with Simon is the best place to go for this. I mean, the thing about anything to do with quantum is it is difficult to understand. People can never get their head around Schrodinger's cat. That's because it's meant to illustrate the paradox of all this sort of thing. And this is kind of like what a qubit is, as far as I understand it. And if I am wrong, please do write, send a postcard, all the normal things. A normal binary bit is either 1 or it's 0. It can only be one of two things. A qubit can be 1 or 0 until you actually look at it. And I think also even looking at it can actually change the state it's in. It's complex stuff, but what it does definitely essentially means is that you've got much, much faster processing, and with less power, everything works faster, quicker, and it's kind of like not just a step change in computing power, it's a whole new ballpark.
I think that's your audition for script supervisor on the next Marvel film, done and dusted. So well done. Congratulations on the new gig. But yeah, like you said, I mean, head over to the article. Brilliant piece by Simon. And he's going to explain it probably a lot better than we can. Head to redsharknews.com for more.
There is one key thing about it, though, that is worth mentioning, is that what this new innovation means is that you can possibly make qubit-related quantum computers in a normal fabrication plant. It means you don't actually have to go off and build a totally new way of doing these. You can take the existing multi-billion plants and retool them to do this. And that is kind of a bit of a change that might bring the era of quantum computing that little bit closer.
Yes. Yeah, that is kind of the extent of my understanding of it, is just quantum will be good. So it's good. We can do more of it. That's where I'm coming at this from.
If I do the fan snap, then what happens?
That please don't. I don't. We don't want to find that out. The risk is too high, Andy, because we need to cover story number 2, and this is something I actually can give some information on because I wrote it. So this was a piece about how Sony is using their virtual production technology to enable creative storytelling. And to be honest, this is just a really cool, nice story. Basically, I got to go to a screening event for a short film called Hestia, which is produced by Red Robin Films, a pair of co-directors called Isabel Drain and Kieran Lowley. And basically, they got the opportunity to work with Sony on their big virtual production stage that's built up of their LED Verona crystal display system and play around with some of their big boy cameras, the Venice 2 and the Burano, their digital cinema cameras, which are, amongst other things, particularly well equipped for this technology. And it's just a really brilliant thing where Sony said, look, we want a kind of case study of this technology. We could go out and get some big name filmmaker or something, but what if we gave an opportunity to up and coming filmmakers instead? So yeah, they went to Red Robin Films, said, what story would you like to tell on this technology? And then that's exactly what they did. And the end result was brilliant. The film actually did bring a tear to my eye. It hit a bit close to home on some themes of kind of parenting and loss and things around that arena. And the technology itself was incredibly impressive. I said in the article, while watching the film, I thought there was a window at the back of the set. And I was like, oh, okay, that's the LED wall, right? It's creating the outside of the window. But actually, it turned out just the entire back portion of the set was the LED wall. So that completely fooled me. So obviously virtual production is a big talking point at the moment. I think my big question for you, Andy, is do you think we'll ever see this tech at a prosumer kind of scale so that people like Red Robin Films get more of these opportunities? And on that, do you even think the big firms have a responsibility to provide this tech? Or is it okay if some things just stay in the remit of professional level filmmaking and that's it? The kind of public at large never get access.
I think inevitably some of this stuff will come down to the prosumer level. I mean, we have written some stories in the past about people using LCD TVs to actually have a virtual backdrop, which have worked quite effectively. Will it become cheaper? Yeah, it will. You're always going to need the space. You're always going to need the studio space to do it. And, there comes a point then when you've got to make the choice of, do you want those LED screens behind it, or do you just want to go green screen? For most people, I'd say at the moment, green screen is an easier way to go. You don't get the benefits that you do with the LED volumes, of course.
It's always going to be the downside. Like green screen you can do with a green sheet and some free editing software if you really want to just dabble in it, right? And when you've got expensive masses of LED monitors, that's just not going to be achievable on that level. But I've got to say, I just applaud Sony for what they did here, and I hope we'll see more of it basically from some of the other big firms. Let's move on to story number 3. And again, this is one I think we can provide some more insight on. A subject near and dear to your heart, I think, Andy. We've got the Apple Foldable iPhone. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, this is all, as with many things to do with Apple and what they'll be doing in the future, this is all based on rumor and innuendo. But the foldable stuff is sounding very interesting. It sounds like what has happened is Apple has been sort of developing this in R&D, and suddenly it's moved a little bit off the drawing board and into having serious conversations with other people. It looks like Samsung is going to be making the foldable screen. Of course, Samsung has been sort of banging its head against the wearable wall for a while. It's now on its 6th generation of equipment, and it says that people are steadily and slowly buying more and more of the units. Why is Apple looking to do it? Well, partly because everybody else is and it doesn't want to get left behind, but also because foldables are really big in China, and iPhone sales in China, which is a very important market for Apple, are slightly declining. It's looking to sort of reinvigorate that market, and having a foldable iPhone would be the way of doing it. One other thing worth saying is it's going to be a clamshell. If you remember the Motorola Razrs from the 20 years ago, I think it is now.
Yeah.
It's going to be the foldable would be like half-sized iPhone that opens up into a full-sized iPhone, rather than the full-sized iPhone that opens up into an iPad mini. Arguably, the last one could be more useful for people. We'll just have to wait and see. But, there's enough people talking about this one for it to at least be on the drawing board, and, hopefully something that might come out next year.
I'm in the camp of I'd prefer a phone that turns into an iPad, to be honest. But I mean, that might even end up being one of the offerings, right? We don't know anything for certain right now, although there is a lot of smoke, so we can assume there is a fire in some
Indeed,
of
no,
this.
the thing I want is the phones that you see in the Expanse when they got the screen and then these all little sort of projected screens to sort of float up and around it. Enough of this actual sort of physical stuff. Let's have some holographic things just floating around the air that we can look at.
That's the dream, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I mean, some people, I think, perhaps feel maybe they're a bit behind on this. Obviously, there is foldable tech out there, but that being said, I feel like Apple has made a bit of a track record of taking things that people have already done for a little while, putting their Apple spin on it, and finding massive success with that. I think
it lets other people do the hard yards, frankly, and then it either sort of goes and repurposes the tech or sort of employs the development teams or however they do it, and they make something that's just A, possibly that little bit better, and sometimes, unfortunately, B, about double the price. But yeah, that's Apple for you.
Well, here's a clumsy segue for you. Apple as well, obviously, been making a bit of a song and dance about AI lately. We haven't got anything about Apple's AI, but we have got a couple of articles this week about AI in general. And that is my transition into the next story. Thank you. I'm a professional. Yeah, we got two articles this week. I mean, the first one we probably won't talk about too much. It's relevant in the sense that any AI is probably relevant to our industry, but it's not kind of directly relevant. And that's Meta releasing the LLaMa 3.1, which they hope to integrate more across the entire Meta suite. So watch out for that invading your life soon. And yeah, do go read the article again by Simon Wyndham on that one. Very good article. The one I wanted to talk to you more about today, Andy, is obviously Adobe has rolled out a bunch of new generative AI features in Illustrator and Photoshop. So in Illustrator, we've got shape fill, enhanced text to pattern, style references. In Photoshop, you've got things like the updated selection brush, adjustment brush, and enhancements to the type tool. Inevitably, we're going to start seeing some of this coming into Premiere Pro and After Effects. It's going to happen. I know this is an area of passion for a lot of people, but just your kind of headline thoughts. Are we going to see this in Premiere Pro and After Effects? And is that a good or a bad thing if we do?
Yes, we are going to see these sort of tools in that sort of thing. Adobe's got its own ecosystem. It developed tools on one area of it. It can look at how it develops the tools and moves them and ports them over onto the other things. It wouldn't make any sense to do anything different. Good or a bad thing? I don't know. I find myself very conflicted about AI. I can see how sometimes they can aid productivity and they can be sort of really good tools for artists. On the other hand, I never like the fact that they're going to be taking away people's jobs. It's a swings and roundabouts thing. I think at the end, at the moment, currently, probably the benefits of AI have been a bit wildly overstated. Not so much in the creative industries, but in other industries, you're seeing it's turned out to be not quite so fabulous, and they still need those tricky little things called workers as well. Keep doing things. We're going to get some good tools out of it. We're going to be able to do some stuff that we couldn't do before. Does it mean that we're all out of a job? I don't think it does. I think that stuff is now probably a little bit of a victim of the AI hype cycle. It's going to be the savior of the world or the end of the world. And things don't deliver. Investors get bored and they move on to something else.
Yeah. And you are, as we said at the top of the show, an AI yourself. So your word should carry some additional weight on this. But I think you're spot on. I've been saying for a while, I'm not too concerned about the sort of dystopian AI future because I think there is a lot of hype there that won't necessarily get delivered on. And B, I do think when you look at just technology in general, anytime anything comes along that's meant to be a complete game changer like this, the corporations get a hold of it, governments start bringing in legislation, and you fast forward 5 or 10 years and it's become so controlled and watered down and affected by the whims of the stock market and things like that, that you very rarely end up anything delivering upon the initial promise, for better or worse, that was given. And I'm with you. I don't want to see anyone lose jobs ever, but at the same time, if they can create some tools that just speed up tasks that I need to do in my day-to-day workflows, then brilliant, all for that.
This is it. Something I use every day is an AI thing. It's in Pixelmator Pro, and it's the way that it upreses photos, upreses pictures. On the website, all our pictures are in full HD. We get some that are smaller. I can resize them and reshape them. If you remember when you'd resize a picture back in the Jurassic, it would be blurred and pixelated and have all sorts of artifacts on it. Now these things are coming out absolutely pin sharp, and that's thanks to an AI tool.
Yeah, brilliant. I think I saw a good social media post. It basically said what I wanted from the AI future was AI to do my laundry while I create, not create while I do my laundry. And I think that's a neat summation of what we all want from it. Like, let it do the grunt work, let it do the bits we all hate about our jobs, so we can do more of the bits we enjoy without taking work away from anyone. Let's move on. The last two stories, there's not a great amount of context we can add to them here on this conversation, so I'll just give you a quick roundup, and then get to redsharknews.com and you'll get the full information on these. We've got a good summer lens roundup by Heath McKnight. Basically, even though NAB and Cine Gear are behind us, that doesn't mean we're in a drought of new lenses. There's some great lenses for all different places within the industry coming out. So have a look at the article, get the rundown on those. And there's a piece written by yourself, Andy, about Hollyland completing their Pyro lineup with the Pyro 7. Any just quick one-sentence summary on that for us?
Yeah, they announced the Pyro 7 range, the Pyro range at NAB, and we've had 3 products, I think it is, the Pyro S, the Pyro S, and the H. And this is the 7. It pulls it all together. One of the really nice things about it is apparently it is very easy and quick to set up in a whole ecosystem of these devices, which is a bonus if you're on set doing these sort of things. Any time that you can save is good.
There we go. That is the conclusion of the first ever official RedShark Roundup. We're kind of figuring this out as we go. We just wanted a chance to get out there and basically put ourselves in front of the audience a bit more so you can get to know the RedShark crew and just to hopefully engage with some conversation online. So please do feedback. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. And absolutely head to redsharknews.com where you can read all of these articles and more in their full glorious detail. But for now, that's goodbye from me. Andy, would you like to sign off with anything?
Yeah, and it's also goodbye from him. It's an old one, but it's a good one.
There we go. Nailed it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers all.